As a punishment, the Wizards need to be sent to Baltimore. Like, that's how you do that. But you ready for this, Mr. Logical? I got a little mini gift for you.
All right.
Because I take pride in my banners. You know what I'm saying? So as we transition here, we're going to talk about the new NBA draft lottery proposal. So Mr. Logical would say, you say anti-tank, I say anti-logic. That's what Mr. Logical would say. Have you studied this? Have you seen this?
I haven't studied it, but I checked it out a couple times. The problem that I'm having with the tanking conversation is that I'm not convinced that the problem is as big as they're making it seem this particular the latter half of this season and it's coming off season. And I feel like they're only making a big deal about it because there's some potential blue chip stars in this draft. There's like 4 or 5 guys that people I think are like believing are franchise changers. So that's my biggest problem. Is like this is the type of year where a team would want to get in the lottery. So essentially talking about them and punishing them, for lack of a better word, for trying to get one of these players, because the NBA does not do a good job of picking up their teams from the bottom. They set it up to where they like, yes, the NFL, you get less nationally televised games. That's a fact. But you get some. And you'll get some primetime games and stuff like that. I just don't like the fact that the NBA, all your stars, all the legendary coaches you've had over the last 25 years got that way because that team tanked and they got Tim Duncan. They got LeBron James. When Philly trust the process, that's how they got Embiid and Ben Simmons. They could have had Jaylen Brown and Ben Simmons and Embiid and Jason Tatum if they'd have done it right. So like that would have worked. So all of these teams that you're seeing in the playoffs and the guy who's playing out in LA was a result of a team tanking. It is what it is. It's not like you're making them any better. I'm just like, you knew I was gonna go off on this little like a rant.
No.
But,
So I have to admit, y'all, and I'm not proud to admit this. I actually rehearsed this. So you remember a couple of weeks ago when you told me it ain't LeBron James' damn job to make Memphis better and to take care of Memphis and to do that. It ain't Adam Silver's job to do an owner and a GM's job for them. But it is not. It is not. It is your job. It is your job. You brought the team. No. I'm not talking about promotion.
No, I'm not talking about the individual players.
I'm talking about you
Adam Silver's job.
You take care of your team.
You said this in a pre-meeting that we were going to have this argument. It was going to run long. I knew this was going to happen. My response when I talk about responsibility as far as the team, I don't think an individual player on a team should be picking other players and picking coaches and things of that nature. But when it comes to the NBA for years have been notoriously bad at creating environments to where teams can get better. The trades are bad. Making a money match for a trade that's a setback. I don't think the NFL make you match the money. You just got to fit under your salary cap, or I'm pretty sure there's some kind of financial penalty that comes along with that. But if you want to trade right now, if Patrick Mahomes wants to get traded they want to trade Patrick Mahomes to like in Atlanta for Atlanta's next 5 first-round picks. You just got to make it legal, get everybody to sign off on the documents, make the trade. In the NBA, you got to get a 3rd, 4th team involved. You got to make the money match. You got to get the draft. Like, there's so many roadblocks and pitfalls that come along with that. And I think the one thing that they do in the NBA is they allow your current team to be a team that can offer you an extra year on your max deal. But if you're not keeping any max players because you're consistently at the bottom of the league, players are like, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay in this team that's terrible. But let me get an opportunity to draft a rookie, develop him. Like these other teams that made the playoffs, they don't need to be anywhere near the lottery. They're good, at least for right now. They are a top 16 team in the league right now. Let us bottom 8 guys, bottom 10, let us get our opportunity to get our guy maybe and get out of the dumps. Because right now, with all these methods, 16 teams potentially getting number 1 pick, Brooklyn might end up 5, 6, 7. We saw what happens with New Orleans when they got 1 and the Knicks had the worst record, thought they were going to get Zion. It didn't happen. But New Orleans,
think the Knicks mad about that today?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe the pizza dough and the water would have kept them healthy in New York.
Well, no.
Yeah, I feel you as far as like the players are obligated to be good and the GMs got to make their teams good, but the NBA also has to set up a fail-safe to where you're not just squashing these teams down and keeping them at the bottom of the league.
Right, but it goes back to, so okay, let's back up for a second. Do I think that the tanking conversation is overdone, overanalyzed? Yes. Do I think tanking is a problem? I don't know. But what I do know is that sports is about competition. You're supposed to step out onto your field, your court, whatever you play on, and try your best, try to win. So from that standpoint, right, in the NFL, the worst team is going to get the number 1 pick and so on and so forth. It goes in the NBA. If you had that rule, then tanking would be out of control because then you would just try to lose as much as you could to get AJ DeBoncha or whoever your flavor is. But with the NBA, I think the issue is, and the issue, because I'll get to this now, part of the issue with this that I do have is that you're just taking the tanking from one place and putting it somewhere else. Because think about this scenario. I'm an 8 seed, right? The loser of the 7-8 gets put into this lottery now, if this passes. I could lose that 8 seed game and win the second game and still make the playoffs and get the lottery pick. So that's where I have a problem with it.
That's what I'm saying.
But hold on. But just like we talked about with the 65 game rule, this had to happen. Not this, but the 65 game rule had to happen because y'all didn't want to do your job or y'all weren't, whatever. You weren't playing the game.
65 game rule doesn't hinder a team. That is incumbent upon the individual and their awards. Like, listen,
and their money.
You as an individual have to come here and do your part. Now, the off season is where the NBA is responsible for growing their league. They do a poor job of that. The NFL, when was the Super Bowl?
February.
First week of February.
Hey, this year it's on Valentine's. The next one is on Valentine's Day.
So plan accordingly, fellas. How many weeks have we still talked about the NFL?
We talk about the NBA during the offseason. It's just LeBron.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But we talk about this draft pick. We talk about the college. We talk about college football, which is obviously a precursor to the NFL. The conversation surrounding football players they send them on the football players on TV all the time. They're in commercials. Right now, you got Blake Griffin in commercials, and that's it. Well, so it's like the NBA has to do a better job from April through. Like right now, we should be seeing every top NBA draft pick on every one of these pre and post game shows with all these NBA pundits. Like right now,
they should be sitting in the crowd at a playoff game and you interview them during the game.
Right now, you got Taylor Rooks, Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, Blake Griffin, Udonis Haslem on TV. You can have AJ DeBonce in there right now.
Hey,
just have his face, have him here, then have Darren Peterson at the Laker game where he can get interviewed. Have Cameron, have the Boozer twins, have them like
Caden,
they're in commercials already.
Going back, he's going back.
But I'm saying, but just have them, have their names and faces out there, so people are talking about it. But the NBA, they hold on. But see,
I think those are two different things. I think those are two different things, though, because you're talking about marketing and preparing the public for the future. I'm talking about you got a job. I know, but I'm talking about you got a job to do. Like, we put Sam Presti in a shitty ass city that nobody wants to go to. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm in a small market. I can't make this work. I don't know how this is going to go."
Prior to like the complaints about small, like the level of complaints about the small markets. But to my marketing, my marketing piece for the NBA, if you put playoff teams into the lottery, that means AJ DeBonce could potentially end up on Charlotte right now. Charlotte's already rolling with those guys. All of those guys, LaMelo Ball is probably one of the most popular basketball players, and he has been for like 10 years, and he's like 25 years old.
And you know what? When he gets on that team, out there. Him and LaMelo on the break, you're going to forget all about this conversation.
No, not really.
You are. You're going to be caught up in the moment. Look at that. Like, oh, that alley-oop. Did you see that? You ain't going to come back and be like, AJ DeBonce shouldn't even be on Charlotte.
Because the Wizards are still going to be bad next year.
Yes. And that's why they shouldn't be rewarded with getting the number one pick.
But it's not a reward. Was it a reward for the Raiders to draft Mendoza? It's not a reward.
Yes. They were able to get, well, it wasn't a reward because they got to pay him now. But you know what I mean? They needed a quarterback. Like, you know, if this was next year's draft and the Raiders got number one, yes, it would have been a reward. But that's circumstantial. I'm talking about if you sat out here and purposely sat your players off a team that was already bad.
But okay, with that being said, how many times did we like that we can count on our own hands that we notice a team? We talk about the Jazz did it and they got fined for it.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacers were gonna suck anyway.
Not that bad.
I don't think they sat that many guys.
No, they didn't sit that many guys, but Rick Carlisle refused to call timeouts. They were turning the ball over just randomly. It wasn't even like the defense was doing anything. And that's where because think about this.
I don't think guys
think about it this way. Hold on.
Try to get the number one pick.
Think about it this way. For the last, let's call it 5 to 7 years, fans have been complaining about the NBA. Whether it's they're shooting too many threes, they're too soft, whatever it might be, the fans have been complaining. Then we talked about this. You turn on the TV and you got people like Shaq talking about, you really think I watched Detroit? And all that kind of stuff. So the people that are supposed to be
one seed,
I know, but the people that are supposed to be selling the product,
the marketing.
I know, but hold on.
Now they're leaning into the
Let me get there. Let me land the plane.
We're going to argue about this.
Let me land the plane. You know what I'm saying? So like you got all this going on, right? And it's bad. You know what I'm saying? And it turns people off to your product. Now, with that being said, that's one problem that you got to fix. But I can't turn on the TV here and see G League players playing games in February when your best players are completely healthy. And from the standpoint of there's no injury, you're not suspended, there's no disciplinary reason that you're not playing outside of the team just giving away a game. Now, you brought up the play-in from the standpoint of you like it because it makes that last couple of weeks, competitive. They're trying to, secure, stay away from the play-in, all that kind of stuff. I don't like the play-in, but that's a valid point. You know what I'm saying? But on the other side of that, now I got the rest of the league, because that's 3 or 4 teams that we're talking about. Now I got the rest of the league trying to purposely lose because they know that the more lottery balls I have, the better chance I have to get that number one pick. That's not good for the product either. And yes, it can be overblown, but overblown just means it's a problem that we're making a bigger deal out of. It's still a problem.
But I don't think the tanking is the problem.
The problem is the owners.
That needs to be addressed to this level where the commissioners come up with plans. I think the real problem is simply this. You need to limit teams so they can't manipulate the cap to where you cannot have Derek White making probably over $100 million and
Tatum and
Brown and Tatum making $700 million combined. Limit that to where now Derek White has to play.
But that's where they got the aprons though. You can only do that for so long.
I'm not even talking. I don't want lofty economic terms. I want a simple thing. You cannot have more than 2 guys on your team that are making the max deal.
Hey, that ain't
third
American.
guy counts. A third guy counts as like if you have 2 guys making
that ain't
max
American.
You can go to Brooklyn and get the max deal. But
all right,
if look at Philly. Philly has Maxey, Paul George, Embiid, and Edgecombe. Edgecombe's going to be due for a contract in a couple of years, right?
Yeah, and by then Embiid's going to be gone. Paul George is going to be retired.
Theoretically, should be gone. But right now, you got 3 guys that are like bringing in $700 million. How good would Maxey and Derek White be right now on Brooklyn? Just the 2 of them just on the team. Just not.
I don't know. They might win 35 games. I don't know.
But give me that. I'll take 35 over 16.
All right. Well, look, let's get into this.
Like, that's the problem. I don't think the tanking is a problem. I think it's the fact that they're allowing the teams with the money to just basically hoard, for lack of a better word, the top tier talent. Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves are about to be granted, LeBron's.
I don't think the league is letting them hoard these people. I think these people don't want to play for some of these teams.
Well, if you put a rule in place saying you can't have salary cap, you can pay max salaries to your players. You can pay them good money. You just can't have 3 guys making $160 million. We need, if a guy's worth $160 to $180 million or $200 million on a 3 or 4 year contract, you could call him a star. We need that star in Utah. We need that star in Brooklyn.
I wish you had that opinion when the Heat got together instead of wanting your boy to win a championship.
I told you I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I didn't like that. And granted, but they were getting like $100 million each. That was the precedent. But I told you then when we had conversations, I didn't like that deal because I didn't like it because it was like you're stacking the team, but also didn't like the Boston trade.
Well, I think that the NBA has a lot of problems. I think tanking is a symptom of a bigger problem. But let's actually get into this new change that is being proposed. So they call it the 3-2-1. You know what I'm saying? Of course, as a rap fan, I would have preferred
4-3-2-1.
Yeah, I would have preferred that. You know what I mean? But okay. So 37 lottery balls, 16 teams. So currently we have 14 teams in the lottery. The bottom 3 teams would only get 2 balls. Teams 4 through 10 get 3, 9 and 10 in each conference. So the play-in teams that are 9 and 10 would get 2. So that's 4 teams right there. And then the loser of the 7-8 play-in game will get 1. Now, this kind of goes back to my thoughts. Well, a thought that because last year we saw the Mavericks, who were the 10 seed, end up with the number 1 draft pick. You know what I mean? And that was off of the lottery. You know what I mean? So from that standpoint, that's where I don't fully disagree with you because the lottery is already there that it's a game of chance anyway. So from that standpoint, that's where I think it's a little overblown. You know what I mean? But if I want to make y'all play, and that's why I said, are you just changing where the tanking happens? Because now you're just making 4 through 7, you're making them play hard, but 8, 9, 10, they don't really care to some degree, because they're going to make one of them's going to make the playoffs more than likely, or two of them are going to make the playoffs more than likely,
and potentially the playoffs and the lottery.
You know what I mean? So from that standpoint, you do hurt your Washingtons, your Brooklyns, your Utahs. But the problem is that they hurt themselves by the product that they put out on the floor. Hire a better head coach, hire, a better GM, whatever the case may be.
Remember
so then
Kunsan, we were deployed to Kunsan?
Yes.
We're deployed to Kunsan. And we're like, why the hell is everything so shitty down here at Kunsan? And we go up to Osan, and they got towers that people are literally living in. They were called like something Kabuchi Towers or some shit like that. All this base housing. Their NCO club could fit our NCO club in there, stacked on top of each other. I'm like, yo, we getting the same money. We work for the same government. Why do you have a Chili's on base? Why do you have a 24-hour restaurant that delivers? Like, why do you have more taxis? Like, why do you guys have more stuff than we do?
The same reason the Dodgers got stuff that the Brewers don't. But that's the thing.
But the Dodgers and the Brewers have different owners. We were both run under the Department of Defense. We were both under USFK. You're like, so why are we out here getting the short end of the stick? Our chicken was always dry at the chow hall. Like, it was ridiculous how much stuff we weren't getting. And we were just an hour and a half away from this other base. The NBA is treating teams like that. Like, some teams are Osan and some are Kunsan. Where you just say, hey, you got a plate, right? You got forks. Make a salad with that old ass chicken. It's like, yo, come on, dog. Give me some flavor in the chicken. Go get a salt pack.
But you know why that is, right? But you know why
somebody's serving you food at the chow hall.
But you know why that is, though, right? Because there were fans, and I'm using air quotes here because there were fans that were like, oh, LeBron ain't in the playoffs. The Lakers ain't in the playoffs. Not watching. Oh, Milwaukee and Phoenix in the NBA Finals? Not watching. No Golden State Warriors? Not watching. That's why.
Because the Golden State Warriors had KD, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, Steve Kerr, and a bunch of other people on that same roster.
But this is the fans' fault. You're either a sports fan or you're not. Like, I don't make my determination.
That's what I mean. That's why I
watching sports
is that big a deal, because I don't think the fans aren't watching the teams that win. The fans aren't like I was thinking about this. Is like the fans like the first couple of rounds of the NCAA tournament to be surprises. They like, Scott Foster's roughing the Lakers Rockets game 6.
Shit.
Travel.
Shit.
They didn't call that.
And we got a 1-point game in Toronto with about 5 minutes left.
Yeah, so that's like, I don't think fans give a damn about tanking, because the teams that are tanking, the fans aren't watching that game anyway. And then when teams get to the NBA Finals, last year, Oklahoma City, Indiana, all 7 games, incredible. There was at one point where in game 4, Indiana had a real opportunity to go up 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shea brought him back, tied up 2-2. They went back and forth. Tyrese Halliburton tears his Achilles game 7 early in the first quarter. They still go into halftime. Indiana, I think, down 2, like 50-48, something along those lines.
Yeah.
That was great until the end, until like the last 6-7 minutes of the NBA season, where Oklahoma City pulled away and won the championship. Fans just didn't want to watch it because of the titles of the cities. That's a different issue.
But see, I think
fans give a damn about tanking.
So this is one of those moments. So, you were trying to teach me a word. That's how you word. Hey, I need another liquid death. No, I'm just playing. No, but I think so. You taught me about a year ago. You taught me this technique of not you're wrong, but yes and, right?
Yes.
So yes and, I don't think you're wrong. That's the thing about this conversation. I don't think either one of us are right or wrong. I don't think that you're wrong, but I think that you're looking at it from the wrong vantage point.
I'm completely ignoring tanking as a problem. So I'll be honest. I don't think tanking is a problem. So I
don't think it's
every
about
single one of my conversations about tanking. I don't have tanking as a forefront as a problem. So that's the vantage point I'm speaking from.
I don't think it's about the fans watching or not watching. You know what I'm saying? I think it's my job to put out the best possible product that I can. No matter who's watching it or not watching it, I need to have a good product. So if I'm up in here trying to open up, my version of Kroger's or Walmart or something like that, I can't say, hey, you know what? Only 68 customers come here compared to their 100. So I shouldn't fix anything because nobody's coming here anyway. Like, I still have to put out the best product. And once the product improves, then you'll get more people to show up. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the way to kind of look at it. But anyway, let's continue. So teams cannot get the number one pick in consecutive years or be in the top 5 for 3 consecutive drafts. Now, the 3 consecutive draft thing, that was one of my brainchilds. You know what I mean? Where it was like, hey, because even if you don't get the number 1 draft pick, there's going to be a draft like this year where you got your Acuffs and your Wogglers and your, Kingston Flemings and people like that are desired that aren't necessarily top 3. So you still might luck into something if I keep giving you bites at the apple. So, okay, you got the number 1 draft pick now. You know what you do now? It's called development. That's what you do. Versus trying to hang on like Hinkie did and be like, oh, I got Embiid. What can I get this time? Like you're at the candy store or like you're trying to buy Christmas presents or something like that. That's where
trust the process was like, I didn't like trust the process because you're still asking fans to pay for 41 home games. Mm-hmm. And then every team you're playing on the road, they know you're not trying.
See, so if we skip down, because the next sentence says teams could not protect 12 to 15, we'll skip that. Commissioner would have increased powers to punish perceived tanking. That's where they lose me because, like the Pacers we were talking about, right? We just kind of argued about them. Halliburton was out, so they're going to lose games. Now, do I think they should have been as bad as they ended up? No. But at the same time,
who am I not being anywhere near as bad with their star went out?
Right, but
and losing other role players and stuff like that.
But at the end of the day, who am I to say that you should be winning games with Jay Huff? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't make that determination. But so the good news here is that
some good dunk highlights, though.
He did, but I can't expect like, oh, they got Jay Huff. Oh yeah, they're gonna win 46 games. You know what I mean? But
and herein lies, and that's my logic, or like as you put anti-logic. Yes, and I agree with you that if you're going to correct the tanking, what you perceive as a tanking problem, you need a process to resolve that. I just feel, I know feelings like, I just don't think that the average fan cares about tanking this much, considering you and I've been doing this show for 3 years. I don't think we've ever had a conversation, not more than one in one offseason about tanking. I think we talked about the lack of talent. I think we talked about lack of development and like while the foreign players, we've had those conversations, but I don't think we've ever had a conversation to this point. But it seems like that dude travels every time he gets the ball on a run. Ooh. There you go, Kennard.
4-point game for the Raptors. Minute 53 left.
Lakers up 1-4-16 left in the first.
And for those of you still tracking, real quick, Harden 3 field goals, 4 turnovers still.
So it's gonna be game 45.
It might be game 45.
Yeah, like I said, I just think the conversation around tanking has just been ramped up, but I don't think tanking is a bigger problem in the NBA over the player development and just overall team building expectations. I believe the NFL has expectations that come down from all the owners. Because if I'm Jerry Jones and I have a game on the road in like Arizona.
Okay.
Watch this 3 going. Arizona's had some up and down years. Jerry still expects you to advertise the hell out of that game, make sure you sell it out, and make sure you put a good enough product on the field so your fans show up. So when we go split this check at the end of when I brought my team all the way out here, I spent this money on these planes and this equipment and all these people to come out here to play this game. You're gonna give me a proper cut.
So I think
the
we need
NBA doesn't put the onus on the. They don't put. I don't think they give the opportunity to the teams that are bad to just get better. I think they demonize them for being bad, and then now they want to throw in all these other teams that are going to steal the potential draft picks.
Because
the second point there says teams with the worst records could pick no lower than 12. Dog, so I'm picking 10, 11, like 9, 10, 11.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't agree with like every plan, every course of action, every idea theoretically can have flaws. So I'm not. So I don't think that.
And I think this has flaws because I don't think the problem is as big as the reason it has flaws is because I don't think the problem is as big as they want you to believe. That's why there's no easy
shot selection, But at the same time, like I think that. Like I said, this conversation could go on for like 4 hours, but I just think that it goes back to the disrespect conundrum. Like you can't disrespect me and then tell me I was too harsh with my reaction. That's the way I look at this. You're disrespecting my game, not me as in 2-5, but if I'm Adam Silver, you're disrespecting the game that I'm appointed over. Now you can't call me harsh because you brought this on yourself. But Mr. Logical, real quick, before we pivot here, and that was CBS that I was using for that. Let me give them credit. That was CBSSports.com. And then, I'm going to pull up something else real quick. So, this is from Sportico, by way of Instagram. And I hate that my screen doesn't just save at the size that I had the other screen. But this is the current, how it is currently versus how it will be going forward.
If they approve this.
If they approve this. And the other good part about this is
see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying, dog? See what I'm saying?
No, I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you're saying right now.
Second to worst record, third worst record.
All right, hold up. Let me just say this one thing real quick before you respond to that. So the good news about this thing is if it comes together, it doesn't work, then when the CBA is up in 2029, they can scrap it and go back to the old system or try something else.
So how can you introduce something in the middle without a CBA being agreed upon?
That's a good question for a lawyer or somebody. But Adam Silver is a lawyer, so there you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So the problem that we're gonna run, all due plans. Like I said, I'm not opposed to change.
Okay.
I just want you to really be realistic about what you're changing and what you're looking at. So right now, the teams with the worst record, second worst record, and third worst record. So teams 28, 29, 30 in the NBA have a 14% chance to get the number one pick.
Yeah, that's today's rules, yes.
So the new odds, it'd be 5.4%.
Yes, because you're punishing tanking.
What if you just suck? Because no matter if you tank or not, someone's going to be 30th.
Right, and that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying a couple weeks ago. But that's where. But see, this is the issue. So they said that Adam Silver has the power to subjectively
so you can play your heart out.
Do you have the ability to subjectively take injuries into consideration?
Once again, that's what I mean. They are creating a problem and trying to levy a solution against it when it's not a real problem. You're creating a bigger one because there's always going to be a team that's 28, 29, and 30. No matter if it's tanking or if everyone played every single star player they had assigned to their organization for all 82 games. There's going to be three teams at the bottom. So you can play your heart out and end up 30-52, and the three bottom teams could be 31-51, 30-52, 31-51, and 30-50, and whatever.
But the thing is that what you're
end up
saying
not
is
getting the number one pick and not necessarily not get, but having a less opportunity than a team that potentially could go 41-41.
But
So
the
how
thing
do you
about
get
it
a
is,
better chance at getting the number one pick when you make the playoffs? Even if I play, like I said, even if we play as hard as we could play, like Brooklyn could play as hard as they could play, and they were never gonna win the season series overall with the Celtics.
But the thing about it,
win.
But that goes back to, and this is the last time I'm gonna say this part, but this is where you get to the chicken or the egg, because if y'all were playing your hearts out,
you still could lose.
There would be no need to change anything. But you're not playing your heart out.
But what I'm saying is that
I know exactly what you're saying, because it's the argument that I made 2 weeks ago about the Kings. The Kings are just bad. I understand that. But there's more than one team in the league than the Kings. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for every King, you have a Wizard. For every Pelican, you have a Jazz. And the Jazz are even more disrespectful because y'all just went out and got Ace Bailey in the draft. You got Larry Marketing. You Keontae George just had a career year. And then you decided we're winning too many games. You know, that's the problem. So you're talking about like the logical stuff that will happen on the backside. I'm talking about the illogical stuff that got us here, because this never happens if that never happened. Cause and effect. That's all it is. And you're going to get it wrong sometimes because you are overreacting. Like I said, you are overreacting. You are reacting probably just to react because people criticize you and say you don't do enough.
Conversation as somebody brought up, but I don't think it's as detrimental to the NBA. I don't think tanking is the problem in the NBA. Hence why all their solutions are trash.
That's why I told you I don't think tanking is the problem. It's a problem. I don't think that the promotion that you're talking about is necessarily the worst problem, but it is a problem. You got to fix something. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just do the status quo and then 10 years from now, when less people are watching, you're upset.
You wouldn't watch an episode of NFL Live where Mike Greenberg, Greeny, is the host. He's a Jet fan. He'll never get on that panel on Get Up and say, I don't watch the Jets. Shaq will. Charles Barkley will.
But Adam Silver doesn't have the ability. I mean, he does to a degree. I ain't going to say why. But he has the ability to get people removed if he needed to.
Promote the league, promote the games, promote the players. Because we've all watched through tanking. We've all watched all these players. We like them.
At the buzzer! Overtime. So we got overtime in Game 6 at Jurassic Park. You know, the Scotiabank Arena. So here we go. Let's see. Let's see if James Harden can finish this game with more field goals than turnovers. He's still 3 for 10 from the floor, still with his 4 turnovers. But yeah, so we'll put that one to bed, and I'm sure we'll be revisiting that here in the okay. Well, actually, yeah. Let's stay there, Chris. I like that, Chris. Let's have a mini conversation real quick.
A friend told me the NFL should do this. No, not enough games in the NFL.
Well, not only that, but I got a different reason. But go ahead.
And the NFL has their version of tanking. It's week 18. We've already locked in our playoff spot. We're the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not playing anyone against Denver. Denver beats them. Denver gets into the playoffs. The NFL has their version of tanking. They have a version of where when when Lovie Smith was supposed to lose that game in Indianapolis, and he didn't. Football players play differently. When football players
they're literally fighting for their job.
They have to fight every single week because in a basketball game, if you're out of position defensively and a guy shoots a shot, he could still miss. If you're a guard and you don't feel like blocking, somebody's getting hurt. You're losing yards. It's gonna be a turnover, fumble, something like. So
Remember the
NFL
Titans?
players, yeah, football players have to work. So they give them. I think they give them that week 18. Like, hey, your guys you're already locked into the playoffs. They do it. I think the NFL system is perfectly fine.
So I think
Leave it as is.
I
Don't
think
mess
of
with
it. I think of it from a different perspective. Like I do agree that it shouldn't be a thing, but the reason, Chris, that I think that it doesn't work because it doesn't have to work. Because if I'm in the NFL, right, the Giants still got Arvell Reset number 5. You know, Dallas got Caleb Downs at like 11 or 12.
Well,
Ruben Bain went 15. You know, so I don't have to like Jadarian Price. He went 32 to Seattle.
Aaron Rodgers went 24.
Yeah, so I don't have to tank in the NFL. I don't have to use the lottery in the NFL because the talent is more spread out and there's more positions. So in basketball, obviously, you only have 5 players on the floor. So one person can make a crazy difference.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas in the NFL, you know what I mean? I could go get Fernando Mendoza.
Fernando can't rush for 1,400 yards without 2 or 3 upper tier offensive linemen.
And Fernando Mendoza, Fernando Mendoza could come into the league, and theoretically, he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the next 3 years. But if he ain't got nobody to throw the damn ball to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really make a difference. If he ain't got the line, like Mr. Logical was saying, if Ashton Genty can't pick up a block, it don't matter how good Mendoza is.
If you're trying to use the play action and the RPO, but you can't run the ball effectively, your offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, like
you just out there just showcasing nothing.
And we were talking about in our draft reaction, we were talking about how the last 3-4 days before the draft, you know, Sonny Styles became the hot name. You know what I'm saying? We got him at 7. You know what I mean? So like you don't in the NFL, you don't necessarily need the number 1 draft pick unless there because realistically, going into this year, right now, this year was obviously low on quality quarterbacks. But looking at the first round, how many teams actually needed a quarterback? You know, there was, you know, the Cardinals, you could argue, the Raiders, Miami starting Malik Willis, but you could argue that they could get a quarterback.
They could have got a quarterback.
And then maybe one more team that I had in my brain, but just the Jets.
The other team,
the Jets could have got a quarterback, maybe.
Didn't need one, yeah.
But also,
the quarterback didn't need one. So it's like if the Rams, you know, like yeah.
But also, go look at the draft next year. Go look at the quarterbacks that are due to be in the NFL draft next year. You know what I'm saying? So you didn't need to reach for the quarterback this year. And guess what? You might want a particular quarterback. I might want Arch Manning, right? I don't, but I might want Arch Manning. You know what I'm saying? If I don't get the number 1 pick and he goes number 1 to somebody else, then I can get Julian Saying maybe. You know what I mean? I can still get Darian Mensah. You know, I can get Sam Levitt if he stays healthy. I don't need to be the number 1 pick.
You can get top tier talent from one of, call it 30, 35 schools. If you're thinking like, what's the power? So if you go Big 10, Big 12, ACC,
yeah, SEC, Washington,
you're at 50. You're at 50 schools right there, right? At least,
you know, yeah, and I mean,
you
like
get the best player. You get the best player from Texas, best player from Texas Tech, best player from Wisconsin, best player from Michigan. Yeah, you're like at 50 teams.
So listen to this. Think about it this way. Cade Klubnik came out of high school ranked the number 1 dual threat quarterback in the country.
Correct.
You know what I mean? He got hurt last year. Clemson had a bad year. He went in the 4th round this year. So I say all that to say, from a developmental standpoint, I know he got talent. Now I just got to get him in here and get the talent out of that potential. I don't need the number 1 draft pick to do that.
But the NFL does a better job of creating a scenario to where sucks. A better scenario of where you can develop players. Like we talk about the worst of first.
Right.
Let's think about NFC East.
Think about the Carolina Panthers last year.
Yeah. So Philly won the division last year, right?
Right.
And who was second? Was it Washington or Dallas?
It wasn't Washington. I tell you that. It was Dallas.
Dallas.
And then Washington and then the Giants. Yeah.
The Giants get Arvell Reese. They have the stacked defensive line. They have potential. They got Jackson Dart starting out. I think they grabbed a couple like wide receivers. Malik Neighbors is coming back. They could easily go 10-7 and be in the playoff mix just off of drafting 2 or 3 players and
free agents and so on and so forth. Yeah.
The
NBA, you're already counted out.
Luka and LeBron. Like LA has Luka and LeBron on the same team.
Like if you're in the NBA, if you're the Sacramento Kings, you know Giannis ain't coming to you. Like if he was a free agent, he ain't coming to you. But in the NFL, like Aaron Rodgers, like not this version of Aaron Rodgers, but MVP Aaron Rodgers, if he was a free agent, he would have signed with Arizona if they had the money.
And if Patrick Mahomes is a free agent, I don't think Philly has the money to sign him because the NFL sets it up to where you can't do all of that.
Right.
Like Philly seems right now, maybe if they could have moved Jalen Hurts or whatever the case may be, but I don't think they have the money to trade for Patrick Mahomes and have him on the roster to make this super team. Whereas there's a means for LA to probably get Giannis because of the way that the NBA is structured.
Because
and
the
there's
NBA,
no way for Sacramento to get him. But
the NBA had to put their
Sacramento
money
for tanking. It's like, yo, dog, I can't even pay people to come here. And then the guy I can get from college for free, you won't let me get him either? How am I going to sell out these 41 home games you want me to sell on Amazon Prime?
The NBA had to put their money where it was best spent. David Stern said something very profound at one time. I mean, he said a lot of profound things, but this thing in general, he said, if it was up to me, it'll be Lakers against Lakers in the finals every year. You know what I mean? And that, so that is to say that he knew, and it was partially his fault because they marketed players versus teams, but he knew that nobody's going to tune in to watch the Sacramento Kings. People aren't.
Luka Doncic was on the Sacramento Kings because the Lakers were unable to pay him and Austin Reeves this max deal. Then people would watch the Sacramento Kings.
Maybe, because I just told you.
You have to build it into the rules to where, like I said, the NFL.
Well, I just told you, people didn't want to watch the finals, and it had Giannis in it.
Yeah, but we're talking about the regular season.
Okay,
but I think you would be able to get. I know we're going to get back to this conversation, but that's my only piece. The way the NFL treats their player development, their product development, and their marketing. Wherever the NBA office is in New York City, I imagine it's probably pretty close to the NFL office. Adam Silver needs to bring his board of directors with him and meet Roger Goodell somewhere in the city and sit down and say, hey, how do you do it? How do you keep people talking about your league with think about all like the criminal stuff. The NFL has way more players get in trouble than the NBA does, but yet we don't stop watching